Welcome back. What a week it has been. I'm gonna go ahead and bring the fellas in here. Guys, what's up?
So,
not much. It's a busy weekend.
Yeah,
So,
great week of wrestling.
I had an outline done and everything put up, but then something else came up today that I'm going to bring up because I didn't have this on the outline. I'm sure I don't know if you guys have seen this or not, but I'm going to go ahead and bring it in just because it was rather interesting. Sunday, May 5th. Welcome back. As always, join us over on WWE on Reddit. Thanks to Ascendant for donating music to us. And this is the weekly recap, 30 April through 5 May. And we're going to kick it off with something rather interesting today.
Yeah, I saw this.
You seen it?
Yep.
So Seamus thought it was a good idea to tweet out, an Australian with a funny haircut with a thing for military-style coats proclaims superiority over others, hangs out with Germans, and betrays his Italian ally. This tweet lasted maybe 15 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say.
At least he didn't go as far as saying Paul Heyman might be afraid of him more than the bloodline.
Oh man, so it's been an interesting week to say the least. So I mean, we can probably start off in the beginning, but I mean, there's so much going on right now. I guess we'll just start off with the news. Mania Vegas, who's going?
I'm going. I can't wait.
Allegiant Stadium, and I saw someone brought this up. You know how usually around Mania they'll have events at other places nearby. The Sphere has to be in there for something, right?
Oh yeah, they from what I saw in a few sources this weekend was they are in talks to do Raw and SmackDown at the Sphere before and after, but they're just working out details and they'll announce it at a later date. But
is it sad that I would rather go to see those shows at the Sphere than WrestleMania?
I just want to see what they can do with it.
So, how many people does the Sphere hold?
I don't know. Let's look. The Sphere capacity is 18,600 people.
Yeah.
They could hold Mania there or a smaller pay-per-view like SummerSlam or something there.
Because France had less than 12,000 people and the crowd there, which we'll get to later. I mean, so imagine the Sphere. There's so much you could do, with the Trons, but also they do a lot of that CGI stuff. I mean, there's so much that could be done there.
Yeah.
I think they'll probably be using T-Mobile Arena as well for at least one of the events.
Yeah.
So the date obviously has been pushed back. Which
would be nice if you could have done it this year with the weather that they had in Philly.
Oh, I know.
I know. So 420 is night 2. I mean, who do we think will host? RVD?
I was thinking RVD. Literally, I was like 420. Yep, RVD's the host of this one.
Snoop Dogg, maybe?
RVD and Snoop Dogg. Yep.
Yeah.
RVD, Snoop Dogg, and they bring back Riddle for one night.
Yeah. There you go.
RVD hosts. Snoop Dogg calls the matches.
Everyone comes out taking bong rips.
Oh my god, it'd be amazing. Like it'll be awesome. The folks in Minneapolis were a little miffed though from what I've seen on Twitter.
Yeah. I saw the same thing, but you got to understand though, even if it is at an indoor arena in Minnesota and Minneapolis, the weather is still unpredictable up there. They can still be getting snow and make travel arrangements crappy. So
that was a big complaint when they held the Super Bowl there back when the Patriots were in it there. I heard a lot of the outside events weren't as good because of the time of year. I know WrestleMania was 2 months after, but still, that's so far north, you just never know what weather you're going to get that time.
I was talking to my buddy in Wisconsin last week, and I was like, hey, it's like 80 here. We're outside cleaning the pool. He's like, oh, we're about to get snow, I think.
Yeah, what was it? Around March 7th this year, right when I was about to fly to Charlotte, it was snowing here. So I mean, it's so unpredictable.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. What's the capacity at Allegiant? It's got to be big.
It's oh my god, it's going to be over 100,000.
Yeah, because they can put more people on the football field. You're right. I believe it's around 65,000 normally for football games.
It's exactly 65, but it can expand over 70 for certain events. Yeah. But with the floor,
So they'll sell out easily. I mean, that's a destination. People will go there not just for Mania, but for Vegas. So
Yeah.
there's a lot that can be done there. And what's interesting is I don't know if they'll do this cross promotion or not, but do you guys remember the NXT pay-per-view before WrestleMania? They had that Fallout ad.
Yep.
So the Fallout series renewed for season 2 should be up about this time next year.
And it's going to be about New Vegas.
Right? Yeah. I could do a whole thing.
I could do a whole podcast on Fallout. Let's go.
So that would be some excellent cross promotion as well. I mean, awesome. So
yeah.
I would like to go. I'm waiting for Nashville though. Mania Nashville is the one that I'm most excited about. And I guess Sadiq Khan won his election, and we haven't heard anything about London yet. So hopefully he's not going to tick off the people he made those promises to.
Are they going to be building a new stadium in Nashville?
No, I think they built one, or they are building one.
Yeah, because I thought I heard something about that, but I didn't know for a fact.
Yeah, I don't know if they just the new Nissan Stadium for the Tennessee Titans 2027. And from what I heard back when they were negotiating it, they said, like, we've already talked to WWE, and Mania is going to be one of the first things we have there. So awesome. That one's pretty much a lock.
Yep.
So outside of that, this week, releases.
Oh, there's so many.
I will okay, so how many names on this list do you remember? Other than Gable?
Other than Gable Stevenson?
Yeah. Kaya Saint was the only one that popped up off my head. I think a lot of these are from that Roku show, though.
Yeah.
Oh, Next Gen? Yep.
Yeah, Next Gen.
Yep.
Yeah, they released everyone from Next Gen.
And he's not on the list, but Drew Gulak, of course, as Papa H said at the press conference, he was like, "We didn't release him; we just didn't renew him."
I really like the fact that Triple H actually stood up and told people to get their news from reliable sources when they asked him, because they were like, "What happened with Drew Gulak? Did he get fired because of the Ronda Rousey thing?" And they were like, according to like PW Insider and one other website. And Triple H was first and foremost, he was like, "You might want to start getting your news from reliable sources." He was like, we didn't release him. We just didn't renew his contract, which was up.
And that's a completely different thing. A release is one thing, but not renewing is another thing. And it may sound similar, but those are worlds apart in sports. A completely different thing. So it's been kind of interesting watching how, because I was curious with the TKO buyout how they were going to handle releases. The rosters aren't super bloated right now, but they could probably stand to cuts, some.
Yeah.
So that's what I was curious about, was how TKO was going to do it compared to how others have done it before.
Trey Bearhill sort of surprised me too. With they had that promo a little while back between him and Eddie Thorpe. I thought they were going to maybe do something with him with the Lexus King thing too. Yeah. I just was sort of surprised to see his name on the list.
Yeah, that's what I've always been curious about, is if they have like I don't know, like a ratio or a formula or something, like, or if it's just somebody that calls talent like Triple H saying like, "Hey, I just don't see it with this guy," or how they do it.
Yeah. Have their HR department call each person.
Yeah.
Working out. Okay, thanks, bye.
Have you touched anyone's sweatpants waistband lately?
Yes. Did you give anyone a weird look while walking down the hall?
I was gonna save this one till the end, but I kind of felt like it was kind of news because it came out of Backlash, but I felt like it kind of deserved its own segment. So the brackets kicking off King and Queen of the Ring. I have my predictions, but the Raw side, who do you guys see there?
We know it's probably going to be Finn Balor because Drew McIntyre's feuding with CM Punk. Ray over Kofi. They're going to push probably Ricochet over Dragunov and Gunther over Sheamus.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Gunther. I'm going to go with Ricochet. I'm going to pick Kofi over Ray, to be honest. Seeing Xavier Woods won it last time around, and I think McIntyre is going to beat Finn Balor because I was going to maybe get this a little bit later, but I think a Finn Balor or Damian Priest feud is in the very near future based off what we've seen this past Monday on Raw and yesterday at Backlash.
I can see that. I can see Drew going to the finals and then CM Punk costing him that leading into SummerSlam.
I really wanted to see Gunther and Dragunov against each other, but it looks like these are brand specific, so they're going to be on one side of the bracket, unfortunately. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, for the women though, I have Ivy Nile going over Zoe Stark just because I like Ivy Nile more. I have Zelina going over because she was Queen of the Ring before. I see that happening. Io Sky I could see because Natalya doesn't have as much to prove. The one I'm really watching is the Lyra Asuka match because I'd really like to see Lyra go over.
I think Lyra's going to win that without a doubt.
Oh, I think so too. I think they're on the verge of breaking up Damage Control in the near future because it's not working out as far as, storyline wise.
Yep.
So I think Lyra over Asuka. But see, I have Shayna over Zelina. So like you said, Zelina's been in the past, and I think that's a good point. But I think with what they were doing with Shayna on NXT, giving her a little bit more on-screen time, I think they're at least gonna let her get into like the second, third round of the King of the Ring, however long that actually ends up going on.
Yeah.
I got Shayna over Zelina myself. I think both LWO members are going to be knocked out personally.
It's like they don't know what to do with Zelina. It's she's one of those talents that I know, like LA Knight, that it's like they have blinders on for, like seeing how over they are and then just bungling them.
Yeah. Oh yes, they do it all the time with at least one person.
She should have had something by now, like in Puerto Rico. Like, why? What are we doing?
Oh yeah. That was a perfect time to give her at least even if it was a short-lived push.
Yeah, they did that a few times last year though, because they did the same thing with Mustafa Ali when they went to Night of Champions, I believe it was.
Yeah,
it's just they wanted to have someone of that culture represented. They didn't care if they win or not. I felt like.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at who's the other one they used in Saudi Arabia? The other token that they've been using. God, what was his name? It's slipping my mind. Mansoor.
Yeah.
He's doing pretty well with the Ugandan.
I was just
soft foot wrestling.
That wrestling in Uganda in the dirt.
Have you watched those videos though? It's pretty cool.
It really is. I was surprised when they showed them over there.
Like I mean, it's more entertaining than what they were doing with the male modeling with the words that I couldn't pronounce. When they ran that gimmick, it reminded me of back in the day when you had like Yahoo or AOL Messenger and you would use the random character map to make your name sound more interesting than it was. Yeah. It's like somebody in creative was just like, okay, character map. Let's just see how we can spell them. No one's going to pronounce this.
Yep. I didn't understand that whole thing. And then Otis. He's the only thing I liked about that whole run.
I saw a thing online. I don't know if you guys saw it, of that Maxie Dupree never checked to see where Max Dupree went. And they're like, what happened to Max Dupree? We really want to know.
Yeah.
That was one of the worst gimmicks, and I've seen some pretty bad ones, but that was, I don't know what was going. It was a Vince thing. I bet it just.
That definitely was.
You guys remember when Braun Strowman attacked him when they were doing the modeling show there, the back to school styles?
Yep.
Oh my god! It'll be one of those things that here in 20 years people will look back on, like we look back on the custody of Dominic match or the Judy Bagwell on a forklift match.
We could have a sequel to that custody of Dominic match. Don't rule it out now.
We could.
Yep.
It's very possible. So I guess starting the week off with the minor shows, we have a new speed champion.
Yes.
Where do we go from here?
I have no effing clue with this one. Literally, it was for me. It was a good idea during the tournament to see who was the new champion, but I don't see how they're going to build up two matches.
Ricochet was the right pick to be. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure most would agree with that, but like, now what?
Go ahead. This is the new 24/7 championship belt in my eyes.
Oh, 100%.
Same thing, but different.
To me, it's kind of like the Impact Digital Media Champion or some of those. Very much a social media belt, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I liked the idea of the quick matches, get people who don't want to sit, through and are actually watch highlights, and that's it. They'll be able to watch these matches quick, during their lunch breaks, whatever, and have fun watching wrestling. But now it's that he's the champion. It's like we're used to them building up to matches and having that. Why is he wrestling this guy and whatnot? But now with speed, it's just going to be thrown together.
Yeah, because we got
similar stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah, we got a new bracket with Ivar and Apollo Crews, and then Berto versus Tyler Bate. Those are the next guys in line on the bracket from what I saw upcoming this week. I don't know which one of the two is this week, but one of them is this Wednesday.
Yeah, now if they did constant brackets to where they run through for like 2-3 weeks, and then whoever wins the bracket faces the champion, that would be pretty cool to me. Have tournament after tournament after tournament to face the new speed champion. That would be cool. But other than that, there's really nothing to do with it.
Good filler for house shows and commercial breaks, maybe main event, perfect for main event. Because I mean, one of the things I noticed when I was watching, main event and Level Up and some stuff this week is a lot of it's filler stuff from the main roster. You could easily cut a lot of that out and do speed matches.
Yep. Without a doubt. And I think you said this last week too, Chad, maybe even throwing it on the kickoff show possibly.
Yeah, because remember when they used to have matches on those?
Yep.
You don't have that anymore. And that'd be a perfect place for it.
Yeah.
So congratulations. Well deserved.
The last one we had was Elimination Chamber, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I because even look at the big four, like with the 2-hour kickoffs, like throw something on there.
Yeah.
Give
They're
us
only 3-minute matches. They could have like small mini tournaments during the freaking.
They could have a whole speed tournament. It's 3 minutes each.
Yep.
So main event, we had a good main event this week. Creed Bros went over Angel and Berto. Katana Chance and Caden Carter went over Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. I noticed this week, and Angel and Berto, you remember when Vince was shortening all the names?
Yeah.
Their names are so short now. It's like Humberto Carrillo went to Berto.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't get it. But the Creed brothers continue to impress. Again this week. Just so impressive.
Fourth straight win this week.
Yeah, I don't get having Chelsea and Piper lose though on main event as much as Chelsea's over right now. I mean, why have her?
I mean, we'll talk to this when we get to NXT. I mean, at the end of NXT, when she got a championship opportunity, she said, "I think I'm going to like it here." So I don't know what they're doing with her.
I hope they do something because I am a huge fan.
Yeah, and she's super over.
Yeah. I thought with the Creed brothers match too, I thought that double pin that Brutus did was a phenomenal move too.
Right?
Yeah.
Like these guys are incredible. I don't know why they're wasting time with them on main event. Like I think probably just biding time until they're in the academy probably.
Yeah, probably. They're getting them prepared. Giving them a little bit more in-ring time, get them with some, even though Angel and Berto aren't, the most over characters, they're not, the biggest, but they've been around the industry for a while, so they can help the Creed brothers actually learn a little bit more before they come up.
And we've seen how when teams are in a faction, they can get over. They're in a good faction. Look at the NWO back in the day with Vicious and Delicious. Buff Bagwell got over being a part of the NWO, so
yep.
So that could be something that elevates them. The ladies' match was pretty good though. I mean, Katana and Caden work really well together. I love that wheelbarrow move they do. They're a really good team.
Yeah, the keg stand, I think it is.
Yeah, they're really talented. And that there was that moment where Piper accidentally hit Chelsea, so I don't know if that's going to sow seeds for them to split up at some point.
Possibly.
I don't know. Could happen. You never know. So, but Level Up this week was quite good. That Javon Evans is really impressive.
Oh, he's awesome.
Like really impressive. So Eddie Thorpe beat Cale Dixon. Kalani Jordan beat Kendall Gray. Javon Evans beat Riley Osborne. I saw an interesting thing this week. I don't remember. I think I saw it on Twitter or maybe it was Facebook, but somebody was playing around with AI and they were like, okay, so how do people in NXT pick their names? And they asked AI, like, what would a suburban mom from Utah with 5 kids that likes to bake name her children? And the names that popped up looked like NXT names.
That's epic.
I mean, look at this, because you can see the names. Like, I went to school with a Kendall. I'm pretty sure someone knows a Riley. Like, it's probably how they create names. So, but yeah, of those 3 matches, Javon Evans, that was my favorite. Like, I loved that match.
I don't know if you guys noticed this too, but I don't know if Level Up did it, but I know they did on Main Event. You got a show that's not recorded live yet. You go to a commercial break, and we get to miss part of the match. I don't
understand that, and they used to do it with SmackDown too back in the day when it was recorded on Tuesdays. Like, what?
Why?
Yeah, they did it this Friday. Yeah, when it was aired on Fox after it was already done in the afternoon, we got commercial breaks where we missed part of the matches. Why?
So of those, what do we think about? I was one of the reasons I like NXT is because I like to look at them as like, how would they do on the main roster? What do we think about Carly and Kendall Gray on the main roster? 2, gymnast type blonde women. Like, do we think they would fit in? How they'd go over? Like, they're a team that I could see getting popular.
I think they got a lot more time before they get to that level, but definitely in the future they would be so similar to like Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, maybe a little bit with some more agility.
I think so too. In the future, yes. But like one thing I'm happy about with WWE and the women right now, and where these 2 would fit in, is we're back in like the days with WCW Raw. There was a lot of those blonde, stereotypical Barbie gymnast type women. Yeah. But now in WWE, there's getting to be less and less of that with like Rhea Ripley, Bayley, Nia Jax, stuff like that. So you're not seeing that blonde gymnast style character as like saturated as a character as you do like back in the day. So I think they would actually fit in now.
And it's interesting because back then they were like the bubblegum like faces, but now the stereotypical blondes are being booked as heels, like Tiffany Stratton.
Yep. But and with the fact that there's not a lot of them now, is they would actually, be different than what we're used to seeing nowadays.
Yeah.
So I mean, I actually think, give them a little bit more time, but I think they would fit in coming up into the main roster somehow.
Maybe in a stable with Tiffany Stratton, just making everyone mad.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got something like that for a special this week.
Okay, cool, very nice. I'm excited. Yeah, this week we are gonna do a midweek episode, so stay tuned for that. We're not gonna do Raw this week. Obviously, that was the last episode with the draft, so we're moving right into spring break-in. So I'll read these results and then we'll break them down. Obafemi went over Ivar, kept his North American Championship. Thea Hale defeated JC Jane. The OC, for some reason, defeated the debuting Tyson DuPont and Tyreek. Ridge Holland went over Sean Spears. A good booking decision. NXT Tag Team Champions Axiom and Frazier defeated AOP. Lola Vice went over Natalia in the NXT Underground match. So, kicking it off. What did y'all think about that opening segment with Trick Williams?
Loved it.
When he told Lash Legend, "I'm your Reese's Cup," and Lash was like, I like Kit Kat.
God. And when he was like, "You just want to take off the gold to get to the chocolate underneath," I'm like, "Come on, bro!"
Loved it. Personally, myself, I think in the envelope is a number 1 contenders contract for Noam Dar. That's just what I personally think, but. It could possibly be something where we're going to throw a storyline in where we saw Trick like making some backdoor deals or something to get the match. Who knows?
Yeah, NXT, one of the reasons I like the show so much is a lot of like the humor is there that you don't get on the main shows anymore. Like after that Trick Williams segment, there was that Ariana Grace segment where they were sitting there eating dinner and Gigi Dolan was like talking about big meaty men slapping meat. And, it was beautiful. So that first match, that was some good stuff.
It really was. Obafemi freaking lifting up Ivar for the electric chair drop.
Right.
I was like, holy crap, dude. I was like, I know he's big and strong, but shit.
Yeah. And he's not your generic big guy.
Yeah.
Like he's got personality. Like he's I said this before, but he's what almost like should have been. Like he's not generic. He's good in the ring. He's got good personality, like super talented. And then we saw Wes Lee come back at the end of the match.
Yep. Yeah.
My guess is that'll probably be his next opponent, probably the next number one contender. Seeing, I believe when Wesley went out, it was supposed to be him against Dominic Mysterio, and then Dragon Lee stepped in, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I believe. Yep.
So, or we saw Josh Briggs. We could be seeing a triple threat match, which would be cool. So pretty good to see that. I mean, there's a lot they can do there.
Another thing for my fantasy one, I would go elaborate into it now, but I'll wait for the episode. I have one opponent in NXT I would absolutely love to see him face.
Okay. All right. I'm ready. So Thea Hall and JC Jane, both
heel turn too.
Yep. I know. It was so and I like that it doesn't just happen in a moment. It grows and continues. Like you get to see more inside of that story. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
Yeah.
One of the things I was going to ask you guys about since we're talking about that is if Chase U went up to the main roster, like what would you see from that? Like how would you handle Chase U?
They would get buried.
Yeah.
They're in a worse situation than the family almost, where it would be even tougher for that to work on the main roster than the family.
Yeah, that's one I don't know how you translate. So very, very interesting stuff. So moving on to the OC, this is the match of the week to me that made the least sense. The OC is used to being buried. Why did they win here?
No clue.
Because it was the Bullet Club anniversary week.
Ah, okay.
Okay. I did not
why have them lose? And I thought about that.
It's what they do.
And I thought about it during the match though too, is the OC on NXT to me doesn't make sense to begin with. Yeah. When you have a team that's like as big worldwide as the OC is, you want to display them on the main roster.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're used to like being in arenas in Japan, all over the world, and now they're in a like arena with what 700 people,
maybe.
If that.
but I think with putting them back in NXT is a way for Triple H and the writers and those people in power there to see if they push them, how the fans react, and if bringing them back up to the main roster and giving them a push there is even worth their time.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because you have so many like Japan guys now you could do stuff with. Like now, spoilers, you have the Gorillas of Destiny now. You have the OC, you have Finn Balor, you have AJ Styles. It's like the people, they know what it is. People aren't dumb. Probably casual fans, they don't know, but most people are in the know about who these guys are. So why is this not a dominant faction just taking over at this point?
Yeah. Why hasn't WWE bought out or at least talked to New Japan or whatever, or whoever owns the rights to it now in the US, because Japan has their own stuff, but whoever has the rights to it in the US, talk to them about, allowing them to use the Bullet Club and bring it into WWE.
So apparently the rights are owned for Bullet Club by New Japan. Okay.
In the US too?
Yes.
Okay.
Including translations to Ring of Honor and apparently AEW. So.
Oh shit. Yeah, that's right. New Japan.
But WWE owns the Too Sweet. So there's that.
Yep.
I remember when that happened over in Japan and AEW, they switched and they started doing the one suite, and I was like, "You guys are such trolls." That's so funny.
WWE brings out the projectile gang instead of the Bullet Club.
The projectile gang.
I mean, that's what I really wanted to see when they started the OC. Was like, it should have grown into that. That should have been what they were doing.
Yeah. Because even there was that one pay-per-view that freaking AJ Styles came out in his Bullet Club whole mask and everything.
They were rocking, and they were doing the Japanese on their pants and the trunks, and yeah, the whole setup was there.
That's the one thing that Vince dropped the ball with, is allowing that, you know, those other companies to get involved in WWE and having those cross promotion things.
Yeah.
Because that would have been freaking huge to bring in New Japan and have Bullet Club stuff in WWE with, you know, Finn Balor, AJ, the OC. It would have been amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And they could have had the what was the pay-per-view? It could have been the disallowed entrance pay-per-view.
Yes. But you could have had like the WWE Bullet Club verse back when Tama Tonga and all that was in the Bullet Club versus the New Japan Bullet Club. And
yeah. I mean, yeah, because it would be interesting to do a rundown and see how many former guys are. I would argue that WWE currently has more former Bullet Club guys than AEW does at this point. I would have to check, but it seems like a lot of them are over there now.
Yeah, because WWE or AEW now, as far as Bullet Club goes, only has the Young Bucks.
Yeah. So there's a lot they could do with that there. So the next segment, obviously not on the results, is that the North American Championship for women has been announced. So starting with a combine, and then 6 qualifying matches, and then a ladder match. Now, for those who don't know what a combine is, I found a good explanation on Twitter that I wanted to read, because I honestly did not know what that was. But it's an athletic testing event with physical challenges for speed and athletic abilities, sled shuttle sprints, medicine ball tosses, trap bar deadlifts, and bench pressing. And it will showcase the athleticism of the competitors. So basically what Ava said was they're going to judge based off of that, then go to qualifying matches, then go to a ladder match. I have had job interviews that were easier than this. So
now with this, are they actually going to legit do a combine?
Is what it sounds like. On the show next week, or in 2 days, they're going to do a combine.
Are they going to, because if they do a legit combine, I would enjoy it a lot more than them having like a scripted combine.
Yeah.
That they know who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, I mean,
I would love for them to just do a straight combine and see who in NXT gets to have, like, which women legit are the most physically able and athletic to, you know, move on to the 6-woman tournament. Yeah. Rather than have it scripted, because you're trying to train these women to be in the performance center and on a weekly basis to be the top of the top. So, and the best of the best, actually have the combine be legit.
Because, I mean, you got to look at it, and a Jada Parker is going to fare better than an Ariana in a combine.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
But you want them you want a Sol Ruka in your tournament. So. Yeah.
But things we got to remember too, like the NFL Combine, they do 40-yard dash and vertical leap. That's something that, say, like Sol Ruka or someone like that could get an advantage over some of these other competitors.
Yeah,
she's tall and athletic.
Who's your pick for the championship for the first champion?
I'm going with Sol Ruka, seeing it's a ladder match. I want to see.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
I've got Tatum or Jada. Those are my dream picks.
Bring Nikita back for it.
I don't see Tatum making it through the combine too well, though, personally, myself.
I think everybody wants that. So after this announcement, we had a good match with Ridge Holland and Sean Spears, and I like what they're doing with this storyline. Especially interesting to see that segment with with Chase U and Ridge Holland talking to them. I mean, there's some story there. I like it.
Yeah.
I don't like seeing Sean lose.
Well, nobody does. He should be a champion by now. Again, for the fantasy booking, some thoughts there.
Same here.
Yeah. So Ava and Roxanne, we had a segment there, which obviously led to the end of the show where we found out that Chelsea Green will be facing Roxanne. Very some interesting possibilities there. I don't think they'll make Chelsea Green the champion. I'm still holding out for her for Money in the Bank, but you never know.
I think Tiffy's going to win Money in the Bank.
I mean, if they weren't going to give her the championship, spoilers at Backlash, then I mean, what do you do with her? You have to. Yeah. She's over. You got to do something with her.
And she already came out in an interview and said she wants to get. She didn't say Money in the Bank, but she said, "I want to be holding a briefcase that is studded out with diamonds and jewels, and I want to be able to carry."
You know, she will too. It's going to be so freaking bedazzled, like Lisa Frank threw up on something.
Unicorn stickers and.
It's going to be a catastrophe, and the shop will sell 80 billion of them.
Oh, 100%. I'll buy one if they do that.
Just for the, I mean, you got to.
Right on my shelf, like right there.
Do you have, I have a senior, because I have
a senior case. Yeah.
I'm still trying to find one of the old actual metal Money in the Bank ones.
Yeah.
Because now they're plastic.
Yeah, I don't know what those would sell for on the secondary market. I'm going to look in one of those collectors groups I'm in and see. That would be cool. Yeah.
I want to see someone throw the Money in the Bank briefcase in the Gulf of Mexico like Cody did again. That was awesome. That's the Cody.
You don't see that.
That's
like when Stone Cold threw the belt in the river. Like nobody does that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
I think we'll start seeing more and more of that.
Yeah. So one thing that was pretty cool was, I think this is before the tag team. A lot of good promos this week. One thing I love about NXT is the backstage stuff. There was a good segment with the family setting up the Heritage Cup, but I really liked that Final Testament promo where Paul Ellerling spoke and Karrion Kross did not. I think that's how that group should be.
He's the mouthpiece.
Yeah, that's your guy.
Yeah.
You let him speak. Everybody else just shut up and look scary.
See, I've been a fan of Paul Ellering since the late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah.
With like the Legion of Doom and shit.
Yep, that's your guy. That's who you want being your mouthpiece. So right after that, a segment with the family and the minivan talking about the Heritage Cup. So Tony D, a sure pick for that one, I'd assume.
Oh yeah,
I'm going with that too. Another promo that caught my eye too has been the Malik Blade and Idris info the past few weeks, because you had the mirror break and then the Black Cats. I wonder
and the kittens.
I'm curious to see where they go with it.
Yeah.
So Axiom and Frazier went over AOP. I mean, did either of you see AOP winning the belts?
I thought it was a possibility last episode, because I thought they might make the Final Testament a multi-brand faction, but Axiom and Frazier have not been champions for too long. They're not trying to have too many transitional champions right now, it looks like.
Yeah.
So
I was surprised that they didn't win. I thought they were going to win because they want to push that Karrion Kross, hold that whole faction.
They're just not. I don't know. Like, I don't know if it's bad writing. Like, the characters are good. It's like they have no direction for them, which is unfortunate because they could be so dominant.
Nobody buys into Karrion Kross anymore.
No. Yeah. I think they bungled him so much on the main roster, and most people don't know what he was doing in NXT that it's, I don't know. I think it's a lost point. I see him as released within the next year, like easily.
Yeah, unless they incorporate him into the Wyatt Six, like there was rumors originally. He'll be gone within a year.
Yeah, sadly. So NXT Underground, how do we like it?
I actually liked it a lot. I ain't gonna lie.
Wasn't as bad as I thought.
Oh yeah, it was good. I didn't like the ending, but the match itself was pretty decent.
Yeah.
I think that was very unselfish in Natalia to put Lola Vice over like that in that
Yeah.
first match. I liked it for the first women's match, first women's underground match of all time.
I mean, it seems like she's kind of doing like Nakamura is now and helping put people over. So that's cool of her, I think. And they have a training thing, so it's kind of like she's used to that whole world. So I think that's good for her at this stage in her career. 'Cause she's still drawing money. You're making a paycheck. You're on TV. Like, I mean, what more could you ask for?
Yeah.
I'd be happy with it.
Well, I would. Pay me with that. I'll lay in the middle of the ring all week.
Yep.
I'll take a stink face from Otis for what these guys are getting.
Don't draw the line somewhere.
I think I'm on more your side, Chad.
I mean, I've had worse jobs, so. So we went into France this weekend. I mean, before we get into the shows and the pay-per-views and SmackDown and all that, how bad do those crowds make us look?
Me and my friend were talking the same thing watching it. He was like, I feel bad about being an American wrestling fan watching overseas crowd.
Yeah. It's embarrassing.
Just the fact that they were cheering and they had a chant for every single 2 count.
I will say Twitter almost broke this weekend with us looking up what these translations were.
Yeah.
It was interesting, like in Backlash, again, on the subject of the crowd, like they cut off the music for Cody's and the crowd kept singing it.
Yeah.
2 things. One, that's the most I've seen a crowd sing something since Judas in AEW. But also,
that was even bigger than Judas.
Yeah, easily. And I mean, I love that song. I don't know the words to it, but everyone there did.
Oh, I freaking know the words to that song. Like, I liked that song before it was Cody's freaking entrance music. So, but yeah, they like even when Randy Orton came out and during SmackDown,
with his song,
they were singing his music, and they like no one ever does that for Randy.
No,
and he
never.
like when he was in the ring, you could tell he was like he was trying to keep his, character. He was trying to stay in character, but he had like that smile on his face, and he's like, "You guys are the greatest."
How hard was it for AJ though when they were singing that song?
Oh, don't say phenomenal.
And he had to look like he just smelled a fart the whole time, and just he held it. I mean, that's impressive.
When Cody said phenomenal and they started chanting, you couldn't even hear Cody after that.
One thing I noticed too, and I didn't watch Backlash live. I watched it later on, and I noticed this was SmackDown. Seeing the crowd was so loud, the audio in certain segments weren't as well through the TV. I noticed, but
it was
Backlash they fixed it for after on the replay. I don't know about live if they fixed it, but the replay you could hear everything perfectly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, SmackDown Live and Backlash Live, the audio was up and down the whole time. It was like the sound engineers had to kept like adjusting. It was constantly changing
because it was peaking.
Yeah,
because it was so loud. And then during the entrance or the introductions during the AJ and Cody match, they got so loud and they were jumping that the camera was jumping and shaking.
Yeah, they still had that on the replay. Yep.
That was like, holy crap. Now it makes me want to go overseas for an event.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we went to WrestleMania in Dallas, and there was I don't remember what the numbers were, 60, 80,000. There's a lot of people. There were 11,000 people for Backlash, and I've never seen it. Mania in Philly wasn't even near this loud. Like
they were getting notifications on their watches that it was over 100 decibels and it could damage your hearing.
Yeah. It was amazing. So if ever there was doubt about international pay-per-views, it's for sure gonna happen now.
Oh yeah.
I'm curious if the ceiling had like I know in Chicago, I believe it's the Allstate Arena where they had Survivor Series at and the Raw 2 weeks prior to WrestleMania, I believe it was. That amplifies the sound in there. I wonder if it's a certain structure on top of that, not because I know the fans were going nuts the whole time, but I wonder if that amplifies the sound a little bit too based on the arena.
Next time they won't want to do that.
Yeah. I was telling my friend, I was like, the reason I think fans overseas, like Europe, and Australia are louder than us and they chant through the whole freaking show, it's because they're used to chanting through soccer.
It's a football thing. Yeah.
Yeah, through soccer, like from start to finish, they're chanting and they have all of that going on. So when they get into any kind of venue like that, they're used to it.
I saw people on Twitter, like there were a few, most weren't, but there were a few that were complaining, like, do they chant for everything? I'm like, y'all don't know how good we have it over here. You know, where I live, all the states around us, I can see a WWE event every month if I wanted to. They cannot.
And I'll touch on when we get to Backlash, but there were certain parts of Backlash that if the crowd wasn't involved as they were, I would at home would not have been involved in the match and thought the match was fairly decent when it at the end of it.
I mean, the women's match was getting a "This is awesome" chant before anything else did.
And there was the women's match there was botches. The women's tag match, botch after botch after botch. But the crowd was so into it that I'm like, okay, this isn't really that bad. And then at the end of it, I'm like, okay, that was a fairly decent match. Yeah, because of how much the crowd was into it and got me into it.
One thing with the women's tag match, I think seeing Jessica Carr did the main event and they threw the other guy in there. I think it's the referees who they're used to working with as wrestlers plays a big part into it because he could not keep up with who was legal and who was not. Was that the one they were calling Count Refula?
Yeah. During that, the women's tag match and Backlash, it was like, I don't understand how they. Kairi Sane was about to pin someone, and he's like, "You're not legal.
You're not legal." Yeah,
and then she stayed in there, still wrestling like nothing happened. Yeah, and then Asuka tagged her in. It's like, but Asuka was the legal.
Yeah. There were 3 tags after that I counted. It was crazy.
Like, what just happened?
Did you see Bianca whisper to him like this too? Like, when she's down on the ground, like they were trying to give. I don't know if she was talking to Jade or him, but they were trying to piece it together. They did a good job at the end, but in the middle, it definitely had some shaky points.
To start with the shaky points on that subject on SmackDown. How weird was that entrance for the 8-woman tag match?
Yeah. Oh yeah, they didn't put him in order.
No.
Well,
yeah.
Like that's what I was curious about when they were coming out. I was like, wait, who is on what team?
Yeah.
I was too. I was like, who's doing what now?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like, Tiffany Stratton's teaming with Bailey and Naomi. No way.
I know, right?
Because she was the third one that came out after them, and I was for a second there. I was like, wait a minute, this is not. I don't know what's going on here.
They pick numbers out of a hat in the back, and whoever picks the number comes out next.
So on that one, Belair, Bailey, Naomi, and Cargill went over Asuka and all of them with Tiffany Stratton, which was a pretty interesting. I'm sure they put Tiffany in with Damage Control just because why not? And then we had Authors of Pain going over the Bait and Dunn, LA Knight going over Angel for some reason, and A-Town Down Under going over the Street Profits. A good show, all in all. Usually the go-home show is not that exciting, but it was.
I wasn't a big fan of it myself. I ain't gonna lie.
The matches were lackluster. The promos seemed a little bit. And AJ doing the 2 sweet and then smacking Cody. Could have saw that one coming from a mile away.
On the subject of the promos, the one that stood out to me was Paul Heyman admitting that he hasn't talked to Roman Reigns since WrestleMania.
When he first said that before, Nick Aldis actually reacted, I was like, oh no shit. Who pulled Roman out of the draft, and how is this going to play out when Roman comes back?
Yes,
Paul Heyman's going to have him and Solo's bloodline against him. He's going to have 2 enemies at that point.
But Paul did say at one point, he was like, there's only one tribal chief before Solo came in and attacked Randy Orton.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if now that Solo is taking over the tribal chief moniker, that he's gonna turn his back on Roman because he holds allegiance to the tribal chief.
Yeah, because Paul wouldn't say it. He said, "You guys all know who the tribal chief is," but he wouldn't say it himself.
Yep.
So there was, I mean, SmackDown was a pretty interesting show. I usually I would say let's go match by match, but I really want to get into to Backlash. I mean, unless you guys had any standout matches from SmackDown.
I got one promo that I want to say about that with the Bobby Lashley and Carmelo Hayes tension. I would love to see that match.
Yes. That was really that was
really good.
And then one other thing too is I don't know if you guys noticed it, but Jessica Carr, Grayson Waller, there was sort of some animosity with the two of them when he was handing her the belt. I don't know if you guys noticed that at all.
No,
she told him to watch it too. So I'm curious if they have tension backstage or something like that.
Okay, interesting. Okay, good. Yeah. I mean, the only one the main thing that stood out to me when I was looking at these was the LA Knight promo. He reminds me so much of Stone Cold. There was a part there where he was talking and he was like, "I can't hear over all the people chanting 'You suck." So it reminds me a lot of, again, Stone Cold back when he would have all those people there, and he's like, "I don't know if you can tell, but you got 40,000 people calling you an asshole." So LA Knight, he always gives me such Stone Cold vibes every time I see him.
What a random match that is, LA Knight and Angel.
Right?
Yeah, that was randomly weird.
I was like, are these two even beefing? Like, do they know each other?
One thing about Backlash, real quick before we start.
Okay.
Spot of the weekend between Backlash, SmackDown, everything.
Okay.
Jade Cargill at the end of the women's tag match. That whole spot where she caught Kairi Sane and like flipped her up over her head, spun her around, and did her finisher. That spot of the weekend, and I was so hyped watching that. I watched it like 4 times. I kept rewinding it.
Yeah, and I've seen so many people like, I don't know why people are haters of hers. Maybe it's because where she comes from, but she's talented. I mean, she's still green, but like that was the right decision for them to be the champions. Like they will carry those belts really well and they'll make them matter.
Yep.
And Jade Cargill came off the top rope. Or was it off the barricade? Off the barricade.
No, she did the cross body where against both of them off the top rope, and she got a lot of hang time on it. I think she could have gone even farther personally.
I was like, when that happened, I was like, Jade off the top rope, and then we were talking, me and a friend of mine, like Jade coming to WWE and them not pushing her right off the bat, them introducing her and then pulling her back and saying, you need to do some training, and we're going to teach you what you need to be the head of like one of the top stars in our women's division. Was actually watching that match was the right move, hands down.
Yeah, I mean, she's going to be a great face of the company, I think. Before we get into Backlash, one thing we talked about earlier on the kickoff show, one thing I really liked was when Big E mentioned New Japan and CM Punk was like, "Can we say that?"
Yeah, he's like, I'm used to the whole 10 years ago when we had to watch what we say. He was like, I didn't know we were allowed to say New Japan.
So that was interesting. That kickoff was actually pretty good. I mean, KO stole a banana from Cody Rhodes' locker room. I mean, action packed. He saw a swan at one point. We don't need matches on these shows. I mean,
yeah, they're getting more entertaining.
So I guess we'll go match by match. We'll start with Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga going over Randy Orton and Kevin Owens with Tonga Loa, or for those who may remember, Camacho debuting. We did not get Jacob Fatu, so that was surprising. I didn't see any of the dirt sheets saying anything about Tonga Loa.
They kept that under wraps, and with this age of wrestling and everyone knowing everything, like they did a really good job. And I think they probably didn't sign him until like earlier in that day, so that way there was no paper trail, because you sign a contract, people in WWE have to make copies of it, legal gets it gets leaked out, somebody knows. So they probably brought him in and said, you're about to go to the ring and get under the ring and wait till the end of your match, sign here.
Did you see that video on Twitter of him coming out from under the ring?
Yeah.
Yeah, like pulling the ref.
I thought it was hilarious because the ref started moving out of the ring before he pulled him. because Tongaloa was a little behind the count.
Yeah.
If you watch it, the ref starts pushing himself out of the ring.
Mm-hmm. He's like, "Oh, this is my spot." That was a good match, though. Like,
they did the right thing and made it a street fight. I'm glad.
But now we have the Gorillas of Destiny. Like,
yeah,
that's really exciting. I'm glad that he's on the right side with Tama Tonga. Like, give them the tag belt at this point. Like, let that happen.
And with the bloodline now, when they finally figure out when Jimmy comes back how to bring the Usos back together, both sides have a tag team. So if one of them gets the championships, they'll be able to feud for the titles.
I want to do more of that on our fantasy booking this week. Face bloodline versus heel bloodline. How do you book it? Who do you bring in? Who are the leaders? The bloodline was interesting when Roman was there. It was kind of starting to get kind of dull towards the end, but now it's way more interesting than it was, in my opinion.
Like, who are they bringing in? Are they going to be bringing in Hikuleo and all that
Zilla
stuff?
I mean,
like, who's next that we don't know about? Like Jacob Fatu. He's like, they started pushing, and I think that was, them pulling the wool over our eyes is, Jacob Fatu, we're going to tell you he's coming when, like, as soon as possible. Like, he'll be here really soon. And then Tongaloa came out, and I fucking lost my shit.
Because I was watching the trending tags on Twitter during Backlash, and Jacob Fatu was trending up right under Backlash towards the top. So everyone was expecting it, and it didn't happen. And then Tongaloa comes out.
And that's just the good thing of having Triple H involved or in charge now is you don't know what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I mean, they're getting better at it. I remember Mania 38, like, Cody was somewhat of a surprise. They kept him covered and all that stuff, but like everyone knew he was going to debut that night. Everyone knew. So the secrets are getting better now, I think. But now, when does Jacob Fatu show up? Like, what do you do now? He's signed. Where's he going? What are you doing with him?
Yep.
So for those who may not know, he was a New Japan guy, was in WWE as Camacho. You can see some FCW matches with him. There's one clip going around on Twitter from New Japan. Don't judge him off of that one.
No, do not. The punch in the gut, and then the
I saw that one. Yeah,
he's like, it's like, dude.
It looked like that thing that Cash Flow put out a few weeks ago.
I saw somebody say on a comment on one of those videos, they were like, I want to see a match with him and Orange Cassidy.
Oh God, that would be great.
So right after that, Bayley retained her title against Naomi and Tiffany Stratton. I was surprised with that outcome.
I wasn't.
I didn't think they wanted to make her a transitional champion, really. It's too soon.
I think they were going to push
now.
Do I now?
What does she have to prove now, though? I mean, I don't know. I feel like she should have put Tiffany over at this point, judging by like where she is with the crowds. But I mean, her getting Money in the Bank and having the Lisa Frank case makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
So more merch makes more sense.
Her Alabama Slam is on point too, Tiffany.
Right?
She nails that thing.
This is great. She's been impressing me more and more week after week. So
after that, the Damian Priest went over Jey Uso, as everybody probably knew was going to happen. I mean, a lot there to speak about. First, no bloodline interference, no funny finish like we thought was going to be. Also, Damian Priest, no funny finish, and animosity with him and Finn Balor now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it kind of was a little bit of a funny finish with Finn Balor getting involved. Took Jey Uso's eyes off of Damian Priest for a minute.
And plus JD McDonough put the foot up too on the rope.
Oh, the chance too.
Yeah.
The crowd did not like JD.
I don't know why JD was down for so long. After he took that super kick, he was down for like 20 minutes before he
literally.
He had a long time change. I mean, time zones.
Which one of the announcers was like, why does JD got to get his big head involved?
That was hilarious.
Well, Priest said it too. He's like, get out of here with your big head. I don't need your help.
That's who it was. Yeah. He was like, I don't need your big head getting involved.
Yeah.
But it seems like they're really trying to cement Priest as a legit champion. I thought he would have been a transitional champion to Jay, but like it seems like they're really trying to have him as a legit champ, which is pretty cool.
I don't know if you saw Drew McIntyre call out on Pat McAfee. He said, "You're going to be a transitional champ. I don't care if you or Jey Uso wins. I'm taking that belt." And I'm assuming he's talking about Clash at the Castle, but
I think so. I think Damian's going to lose it to him at Clash because they're not going to let Drew not win in his own home country and hometown.
Yeah, they're not going to do that to him twice after last time.
I was just about to say last time with Roman Reigns, and
Yep.
But I mean, if it was anyone else, he probably would have won. So
I don't know if you guys noticed too, but those roundhouse kicks that Priest were doing were flawless. I thought too.
Yeah.
Oh, he's talented. He's a good champ. He's not the one I would have expected to be a champion, but he's growing on me.
After a few years ago, when at that point, I don't know if you guys had heard that when they gave Bad Bunny to him and was pretty much because he was coming up out of NXT at the time, and they were like, "Here, we're gonna give you Bad Bunny. You're gonna train him to be in a match with you." He was like, they were like, if you get him over and you train him and he does really good and he's throws a decent match at the pay-per-view, we're gonna keep you. They were ready to let him go at that point. They said, if you don't do this with Bad Bunny and do this for him and make him decent, we're letting you go.
And to be, and to look back at that, Bad Bunny is like Logan Paul. He's one of those ones that surprises you with how talented he is.
Yep.
That was his in-ring talent was impressive. So
that was one of my favorite matches of the year last year. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Just a really good talent out of him, and not much happened after that. So maybe they'll go back to PR at some point and bring him back in.
He's one of those like once every year or once every other year, celebrity bring-ins.
So I was impressed though. Like Logan Paul, it's one of those ones that you didn't want to be impressed by, but you can't help but be impressed by.
Yeah.
So we had the tag match. A lot of thoughts here. Cargill and Belair went over the Kabuki Warriors as pretty much everybody probably expected. Just to weigh in, I definitely think that was the right choice.
Without a doubt.
But thoughts on the match itself?
No, not good.
There was really too many botches. Kairi Sane doesn't seem like she keeps up with what's going on during the matches, during tag matches. There was a few times where Jade had her back to Kairi Sane, and Kairi was supposed to attack Jade because you could tell that Jade would stand there and be like, "Okay, are you gonna hit me?" And just stood there. So I'm, too many botches in that match. But
I don't know if you noticed. I don't know if you noticed too, but the KOD that Belair gave to Asuka, terrible sell job. She literally landed on top of Kairi on her all fours.
Oh yeah,
there was no contact whatsoever.
It did not. Yeah, it didn't look good. But I think they knew going into that match what it was going to be, so I'm pretty sure they were probably not super enthusiastic about it. I mean, it's their job to be told what's going to happen, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure they weren't the most enthusiastic about it. But I think for some championships that most times are forgettable or get lost in the shuffle, I think that's something good you can do with them, with these two. Because Belair, they want to have a belt on all the time, just with her presence and how good she is and the TV shows and all that stuff. Like they want to keep something on her. So I think that this was a good decision. And it gets Jade something, and it keeps her in the ring more so she can practice more before they finally give her a main title, which is going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
But the thing I'm curious to see is, as one of the reasons I keep watching a lot of the NXT women, is the women's tag division is very weak. It's not like the men's at all. So I'm curious to see who their feud is going to be with first. I don't think they'll go back to the well with the Kabuki Warriors, but I'd like to see for their first feud Chelsea and Piper. I think
I was about to say the same thing, because that's really the only established tag team right now.
Yeah.
other than like Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae, they got that weird storyline going on with Candice trying to do cutthroat things, and Indy isn't for it, and now she's for it.
Yeah,
it's a weird story.
For it, and it's like, okay, make up your mind, figure something out.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's got to be the first feud, I would think.
Another thing I'm curious too with Belair, that promo that she said to Bayley, like that, hopefully this is the last time I have to face Damage Control, and she was like getting really angry. I'm curious to see if they're gonna do anything with that at all. Like maybe have her become a heel, maybe like have a heel tag team. I don't think so, but I'm just curious why they put that in there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because Belair and Cargill don't have to be faces. I mean, they turned Bayley heels, one I thought would never happen. They could easily turn them heel. Easily.
Oh, yeah. Especially if you're going to feud with Chelsea and Piper, and Chelsea's starting to get over more with the crowd. They could make them faces and then turn Jade and Bianca heel.
Yeah, I could see it. Okay.
You could even make him an authority figure too, like how Chelsea annoys the managers. Have Jade and Bianca line with Nick Aldis, so now she's against them.
That would work. Yeah. So, main event: Cody and AJ, the match that had no build but delivered. I think.
Yeah. It was better than I thought it was going to be, for sure.
Yeah. I'm glad that, I went in optimistic and not – I really thought it was going to be bad, but I went into it saying I'm going to give it a chance.
One of my favorite parts of that, and I watched this replay over and over again, and I hope someone makes a GIF out of it at some point, is when kind of towards the end when Cody does the Stardust thing, and they show AJ look at him, and you can read his lips, and he says, "You mother."
Yeah.
One thing too is I wonder if Cody's going to start doing the thing with his arms out, like how Roman did the when he was going to when he would go for the spear. I sort of noticed he's doing that.
Whoa.
Yep, before the Crossroads. I wonder if that's going to be his new signature thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he did it twice during that match.
Yep, because the first.
How many signature moves does Cody have?
Bionic elbow, Cody cutter,
crossroads. Like, it feels like there's a lot more than there should be.
The Cody cutter off the top rope.
That was
a little.
It's beautiful though.
I liked it. I think that's my favorite move of his.
AJ went down kind of weird with it. He didn't. It wasn't as smooth as it could have been if AJ would have jumped into it. Because he kind of just like took it and just went and like bent over and fell.
I like how Cody kind of teased that this wasn't going to be a one and done thing. That made me happy.
Yeah.
I think they need to go back to that. Well, there's more story there, and I mean they're not building anyone else up to face Cody anytime soon. So like, flesh this out. Yeah. You're saying New Japan on TV. You're talking about the Bullet Club. Like, do something.
And this is where I think they really could, build on the Bullet Club stuff, is because you have the OC with AJ. Yeah. Bring them back. Get rid of this AJ, back when his lone wolf character. That's what they're trying to push, but get rid of that. Bring the OC back in with him. Find some people to come in with Cody, like, Jey Uso and all that stuff, to give him like a team behind him and, faction versus faction type thing.
I like Jey Uso and Cody together ever since the drunk press conference. It's like the buddy cop movie you never got.
That was the greatest friggin' press conference ever. Next to Michael Bublé telling the NHL All-Star press conference he was tripping on shrooms.
Like, I could watch that over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeet. The birth of Yeet.
Yeah.
And when the crowd was back in the Damian and the Uso match where they were going Yeet, pass Yeet.
Yep. That was great.
There were so many great chants. Like, after seeing that, I really want to see a Mania in. I don't know if the UK would be as good as France, but I'd like to see a Mania in France now.
The crowd for what was the pay-per-view in England or in the UK last year? Was it Clash of the Castle? When John Cena came out and said that
was Money in the Bank.
Money in the Bank, that's what it was. Yeah, but that crowd there for Money in the Bank was freaking amazing too.
Yeah.
They just did a host show over there at the O2, I believe, on this last Europe tour a week ago.
Yep.
Yeah, there were a lot of good videos. I saw they did one in Austria because I saw a Gunther video coming out in Austria. He's not a Nazi, so again, Sheamus. What do you think it's going to be like Monday morning in the office?
Oh,
he's going to have a Seinfeld moment and be like, should I not have done that?
Yeah,
they got to be careful with that too, because I saw a guy. It was probably a Raw about a month and a half ago. There was a guy in the crowd like doing the Nazi salute next to Gunther when he was putting his hands behind his back. So they got to be careful with how far they push that envelope. They get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
Or remember when they first brought him up and they renamed him? Someone was saying that his name originally was off of like a famous Nazi or something. So they have to thread that needle carefully.
Yeah.
So that's.
Because there was a famous Nazi named Gunther Stark or something, and that's what everyone was freaking tying him to because of the whole Imperium and
they filed a trademark for Gunther Stark. That was the name of a Nazi U-boat commander.
Yep.
And then they abandoned the trademark for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
The fact that they filed the trademark, shows you right there that
does no one check this stuff?
Yeah.
They'll just throw that on Vince.
Yeah, Vince still has a flip phone, so you can't blame it on him.
He's like, I was playing Snake. Come on.
Yeah.
So that there's somewhere I want to go with that conversation too, but just to do a lead in midweek, we're going to do because as we talked about last time, the rosters are set tomorrow after Backlash. So midweek, we're going to do another show and we're going to do some fantasy booking for the titles and feuds we'd like to see from here. So a good time to get in. People always say, when should I start watching? This is a good time. The rosters are set. And we have new storylines from here on. So it's going to be exciting, I think. I'm looking forward to seeing what the next chapter is.
We've got a new season starting.
It's what do they call it? It's the Paul Levesque era in WWE, and it's the Whoop That Trick era in NXT.
Yeah. Season 1 of the Paul Levesque era. Let's go.
So of the week, though, I mean, it was a good week. I mean, everything about it was, but this weekend was awesome. From SmackDown to Backlash, I mean, it was pretty good. Yep. Even Level Up was even. I mean, a lot of good shows this week. Another thing, Mike, you and I talked about this earlier. So spring break in week 2, a lot of people said they liked week 1 over week 2. What did you guys think compared to the 2 weeks?
I like this week a lot better because I think we're hitting on some storylines with Fallon Henley with what happened between her and Thea Hale. We got Lash Legend bringing out the truth that she has that we'll see on the Supernova session coming up this week, maybe. You got Wesley coming back. We got Wesley versus Josh Briggs coming up this Tuesday. There's a lot of good storylines that started to hit on. Maybe we'll have a tag match between Carmen Petrovich and Natalia and Shayna Baszler and Lola Vice. Like, there's a lot that, like, I know per se it might have not been the best episode, but it shows promise for the future, and I'd rather
I wasn't
disappointed than just a good episode.
I mean, one week you had boogie boards and the next week you had a UFC match. I mean, come on.
Night and day.
Night and day. So
I'm on the same side as Mike, though. It may not have had like the best matches, but what it is leading into going forward has me super hyped to watch even more, because I just really started getting into NXT about 3 months ago.
Oh man, I could do a whole show on Black and Gold.
I watched it here and there back then, but didn't really get into it as much as I've been over the last couple months.
It's hard because if you didn't live through it back then, like a lot of those feuds, like the story with The Way and Loomis and Indy and the DIY breakup, it's like that was the best storytelling that's been in sports entertainment in years. Black and Gold showed what the promise of WWE could be with Triple H in control.
Yeah, see, I was watching NXT here and there, but I I did have a stretch where I was a huge Adam Cole fan. So yep. So
how do you let the Undisputed Era go? Again, one of those botches that just never should have happened.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. But that had to do with it being the Vince era and him.
He was a small guy.
Yep. So, but yeah, NXT lately, and even this week's match has me so hyped to keep up with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons a lot of people are talking about making NXT a third brand with main roster talent. I don't want that to happen just because I like NXT for what it is. I've always liked it being its own thing, and I don't want that polluted.
Yep, they're at the Performance Center for a reason.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been a big fan of that, and I could do weeks on Black and Gold. That's one of the things that got me most excited over the past few years about professional wrestling was what was going on in Black and Gold NXT. And it's always so hard watching the talent, knowing the storylines and what they put in Black and Gold, coming up to the main roster and how they get lost in the shuffle. It's hard to watch.
Even way back with NXT when it started off, the weird apprentice show that they had. That's where the Miz and Daniel Bryan's storyline started. And then look at Husky Harris. Look at who that turned into with Bray Wyatt. Wade Barrett came out of that first season, I believe, too, if I remember correctly. Bo Dallas was there also. Yep. I had to go way back to when I was a kid.
Most of the guys who are currently running WWE are former FCW NXT guys. You know, Seth, Roman, Bray.
Yeah, they were the last of the FCW era when it switched over to NXT.
Yeah.
Dusty Rhodes was very influential with FCW too before it was NXT.
Yeah.
Dusty's kids. Yeah.
Yep.
Which Cody was not the biggest fan of.
Yeah.
So I guess to wrap up, you know, we had a good week, a lot going on. As we mentioned earlier, of course, we'll wrap up the week at the end of this week. Rosters are setting in place starting tomorrow on Monday. And then midweek, we will do a show looking at the titles now, the title holders, and kind of some thoughts on where we can go from here. So a lot of exciting things coming up here pretty soon. And some news you guys have not heard yet. We will be doing an interview here pretty soon. And I will tell you guys backstage more about that. But to the audience, we will be doing an interview here pretty soon with someone special, which will be quite exciting. So that's going to be coming up here pretty soon. So thanks everybody for tuning in, all the video listeners, but mainly the audio listeners, where most people listen to this show. To all the audio listeners who are listening now, you know we do a video show too, right? So go and watch that, because I spend a lot of time putting these slideshows together. So all the audio people, come and watch us too. We're not too bad. I mean, these guys are wearing Bruins gear, which I'm not going to get too upset about, but
I was going to say, you'll never know how good we look until you watch the video.
Come on.
I'm a sexy bitch.
Come on, guys. Yeah. So come join the show, and you can comment in real time and stuff like that. So come on over and join the club. Don't sue me. So yeah, that's going to wrap us up for the week. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for being here. Any final wrap ups, guys?
No, that's it for me.
All right.
No.
We will wrap it up then, and see you guys next